Hi YouTube, I'd like to introduce you to a small acquisition I purchased the other day on eBay, written and illustrated by David J. Gingery. Now I'm sure a lot of you metalwork heads out there will be familiar with this series. Build your own metalworking shop from scrap. Now this is the 6th book in a 7-part series. I did actually have all these on PDF, but unfortunately the hard drive failed, and yes, I know I should have had it backed up, but I've lost everything, so yeah. We have here, focus you fucker, come on. There we go. The charcoal foundry, the metal lathe, the metal shaper, the milling machine, the drill press, the dividing head and deluxe accessories, and designing and building a sheet metal brake. Okay. So, I believe this will be quite an old book, although this is possibly a reprint. Mr. Gingery is long deceased, I believe. Maybe not, maybe not. First print in 1982, so there's a good chance that the chap is still alive. So my apologies, Mr. Gingery, if you are listening to this video. Nothing worse than being accused of being dead. Right. Oh my. You know, these videos are all unscripted, folks. I try to edit my thoughts somewhat before blurting it out on video, but I don't always succeed, eh? Right. I quite like the chap's turn of phrase. I'll give you an indication. I'll read a passage here from the foreword. See if I can get focus while I'm doing it. The main object of this manual is to provide the means to produce spur gears so that we can change gears to the lathe. While we can hardly expect to produce a perfect involute gear tooth in the home shop, we can certainly make a set of change gears for the lathe that will mesh nicely. Where's my place? That will mesh nicely and provide an accurate triangle. Sorry folks, I'm trying to make this so that you can read along with me, and this is a problem with working with stuff one-handed. It's quite difficult to read and focus and do everything at the same time. Right, where were we? We can certainly make a set of change gears for the lathe that will mesh nicely and provide the accurate and positive drive to the lead screw that is needed for cutting screw threads on the lathe. The work is much easier than you may have imagined, and the cost is so slight that it just doesn't make sense to deny yourself the advantage of this improvement to your shop. Few of us could bear the expense of a set of formed gear tooth cutters for the miller, but it is an easy job to grind a simple fly cutter at a cost of about $50. Mine has cut something over 200 gear teeth with no sign of blunting. The gears are uniform and mesh nicely with each other and with commercially made gears. There would be no problem in gathering enough data to write an entire volume on gear technology alone, but most of the information would be of little value in the home shop. Don't be concerned with the inability to produce a perfect involute gear form, because such a thing hardly exists except in theory. Modern equipment can come very close to perfection, but they still miss out by a little bit. You can come so close with these simple methods that only an expert with very exotic equipment could find the error. A worm wheel dividing head is a simple and fascinating device. It is the only practical way to produce a broad range of dividing capability to the shop, and its versatility will amaze you. It not only enables you to make accurate gears, but it will handle any other dividing or indexing chore that you may assign to it. Its accuracy will be more than adequate for the broad and general class of work, and you will have a piece of equipment that most home shop operators must do without. If you have completed any of the earlier projects in the series, you won't find these projects difficult. The first chapter is largely a review of simple methods and devices from earlier manuals, and these provide what is required to build the dividing head and add change gears to the lathe. The castings that are required are all within the 1 quart capacity of the charcoal foundry, and the simple methods for producing the castings have been well covered in the earlier manuals. Most of our discussion will be on finishing and fitting the parts. So, yeah, easy to read and understand, and I just want to buy the rest of them, you know, but they can quite often go for a little bit too much money. These little bookies, you know, they're quite small. You know, I would suggest that that's worth a £5. Yeah, that's roughly what I paid for it. You know, it was advertised as new, but obviously there's discoloration there on the cover, and there are marks here on the dirt rather than marks on the front cover, but in generally it's in good condition. It's maybe new old stock. It looks almost like new, but it's been in the sun. You can see that the blue up here is slightly different than the blue there. This is greener. But I'm really happy with this little addition to my bookshelf. I've read these books already. Okay, you know, I got, okay, I shouldn't really say this, but I got them all as a digital download, right? And I've scanned through them all before, and I've found them to be very informative. Nothing overly complex there, nothing new, you know, but just little pointers, and you know, there is a few tips and tricks that I'd forgotten, and you know, things that I wasn't aware of or hadn't thought about, and it's a good reference, you know, especially for some of the setups, you know. I'm quite impressed at what's been achieved on some of the old lathes back in the day, yeah. And while the ML7 is old by today's standards, it's still relatively modern compared to some of the older machines that were, you know, around in the World War I era. So I'm spoilt basically, yeah. As a machinist, I usually work with fairly modern equipment, quite often CNC equipment, and you become, I don't know, what's the right word I'm looking for? I wouldn't say your expectations are high. You become you take it for granted what the machine can do that you're working on. You know, you've got machines with all sorts of modern controls and functions. You know, machines that have got inverters fitted to them so you can control the speed precisely. You know, machines that can do all sorts of tool paths. You know, there's a whole range of things that modern machines can do that these older machines would have difficulty doing. You know, look at your 5-axis lathes now, for instance. That's just astounding sort of machining. But having said that, some of these old machines with a little bit of extra equipment some accessories which are possible to build at home from scrap bits of metal, really adds to the machine's capabilities, and I find all that very interesting. You know, as an apprentice, when I first looked at a dividing head, I was impressed by it, but we had such a full learning sort of program or schedule. You just, you learn about it, then you move on to the next thing. And to be fair, I've barely used a dividing head since. There's been one or two occasions where I've wanted to cut a hex into about a round bar or something like that, just simple stuff. And I've used a dividing head for things like that, but they're capable of so much more, and with a little bit of thought, a little bit of planning, and some well, I won't say basic tooling and materials, but modest tooling and materials, you can really achieve quite advanced results. And I really like that. I do. I like taking scrap and making something useful out of it. So, yeah, I suppose I'm just rabbiting on here to myself now, aren't I? I don't know if I want to say I'm showing you this manual, or this bookie. Anyone can go out and buy this. I think you can get it for like maybe £7 or £8 with a couple of quid postage. So let's say a tenner new from, I think Teesside publish it as well. Now this chap's obviously American, so you'll have to be able to work in Imperial, but that's easy enough to convert to metric if you don't wish. And to be fair, working in Imperial is a good skill to have, so I'd just go with that. And once you work in Imperial for a bit of time, you actually start to prefer it in a lot of ways. It used to be the other way around. I used to hate working in Imperial, but I've been doing it for so long now that I kind of prefer it over metric. But they've both got their place. You need to be able to do both. So for all you Americans that's watching this, you're right, Imperial is a good system, but so's metric, and for certain things metric is preferable. But to all the Brits watching this, especially the people that don't work in engineering or construction, who think that Imperial should simply be scrapped, then you're wrong. Let's put it this way. How do you measure your TV? 42 inches, in it? Or 50 inches? You don't say it's so many millimetres across, do you? So, that's a really good example of why Imperial gives you a better understanding of the size or dimension of an object, yeah? You don't measure the base of a foundation for a house or a building in millimetres or metres. It's in feet and inches. So Imperial is here to stay. It will never go away, and hooray for that. Right, I said I was going to move on and do something, didn't I? So I think I better. Yeah, things to do, folks. Really pleased I got this relatively cheap. I would love to get the rest of the series, but I'll just have to bide my time and see if I can pick one or two up now and again when they're reduced, because I think they can be quite expensive, these little books, for the size of them. But they are packed with useful information, so I wholeheartedly recommend that you search these books out. Right, stay safe, folks, and go make something, Bye for now.